Gary Harwood and Donna Archuleta are absent, excused absent. So we will proceed with our meeting. Jonna, were there any public comments that came through at City Hall?
No, Mayor, there wasn't.
Okay. All right. So then we'll move on to agenda item number 4, approval of the minutes from June 4th and June 11. Council, have you had an opportunity to review?
Yes.
Okay. Any changes, corrections? No?
No.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Council Member Wheeler, a second by Council Member Goldsmith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 5, which is approval of the wayfinding project. I apologize that those samples came through kind of late for everyone to review, and I actually have some paper versions down at City Hall. They're extremely large. So I've got funding from Carbon County and from Utah Power Credit Union to make this happen. So this isn't coming out of direct city coffers. I know, Michelle, you joined us at Peasy last week. Do you have any feedback or comments?
I feel really comfortable with the direction that the project is moving in. So I have not heard anything from any city people about it, but I'm sure they would be happy with what we get done.
Okay, Gary actually, he's at Bear Lake this weekend. He had a couple of comments. He said the 2 signs, one at the Shell gas station exit and the other one up by RNA, not RNA, Pick and Rail, are state right of way properties. So he's actually proactively presented those to the state to approve us putting them in that area. He has not received approval. He simply asked for it. And he also suggested we decide on a name for the American Legion Field, because he says for the signs, is it the American Legion Field? Is it the Gardner Field? He didn't have a preference. He just thought we should settle on a name.
Well, the name that's on the scoreboard is Larry Reber.
So we have 3 names.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a larger discussion. When I was putting the website together, that was one of the questions that had come up, was what are the names of all the baseball fields? And that was kind of, it's been unclear for some time.
My suggestion would be to have a conversation with Dakota Cisneros, who's in charge of American Legion, and find out what information he's putting out to the other teams when they come to visit and how they find the field. And if he is using Larry Reber Field, then we should do that. If he's using American Legion Field, then we should do that. And so forth and so on, or whatever name. Just my suggestion.
Okay. Well, and we don't have to, we're not deciding on a particular sign at this moment, like the name. What I think Gary just wanted to share, that we should come up with a standard name for the ball field. And we can certainly approve the project and finalize those details, as we actually get into sign making, if that makes sense. Are there any other concerns about the wayfinding?
The only thing that I have to mention is just the colors. I know that that's the county branding colors for Hoover. When Amanda and I did the banners for Main Street, we had picked out the maroon, blue, and I think it's a gold color. And then we built the website to match that as kind of like to establish some consistency in our city branding. I don't know if Amanda has any input on it. Do you think we should stick with the same colors, Amanda, or do you think these are okay? What do you think? Just so that everything matches, or?
I like the colors. I do think it's unfortunate that we picked the colors before and now they're different.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be a big deal to change them. I know some of that grant money is coming.
From the county.
Yeah. So
Yeah, right. Is that what they would like us to use, Lenise?
Yeah, they would like to see the county branding, and actually it's even gone further than that. Wellington has reviewed the sample sign that PZ Printing had made for us, and they're adopting the same color palette. I think East Carbon is as well for their wayfinding, so it'll have a very similar look and feel across the county.
All
So,
of them.
Yeah, they'll move the colors around and what have you, but it'll kind of have that sense of wherever you are in Carbon County that sign is pointing you towards something.
Okay, yeah, and I think it looks nice, and yeah, that example that we had seen, was that last year?
Yeah, it was
looks
last
great,
December.
and I think this is going to be so helpful and something we've wanted to do for a long time. So I think it's great, and I appreciate your effort on getting the funding and everything. So I think that's great.
Awesome. Perfect. So I would love to entertain a motion to approve this, and then we can drill down into the details.
I'll make a motion to approve the wayfinding project.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Wheeler to approve the wayfinding project. Do I have a second?
I
I'll second.
second.
All right, I have a second by Councilmember Matsuda. And so Jonna likes when I call you out because then it's recorded individually. Councilmember Goldsmith,
Aye.
Councilmember Wheeler,
Aye.
Councilmember Matsuda.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Moving
then-
on. Yes.
So yeah, because it did come in kind of late. Haven't really had a chance to look at all of the spots. Will there be a chance to, if we feel like something's been missed, to add something or?
Absolutely. You actually have a full version in paper in your box. And I should point out the images are not to scale. They were made so you could see the sign. But if you check in your box, you'll see all the locations now and you can weigh in there.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, moving on to agenda number 6, the approval of purchase of fertilizer for the parks and cemetery in the amount of $2,400. Gary again sent me a note. He's not fertilized the parks at all this year. He was waiting for the new fiscal year to be able to take this action. He said we have 18 acres of parks and cemetery to fertilize. So it's a significant job. That's why it's a significant amount. And this is a request on behalf of Gary. So
I would like to add that I spoke with a couple of the seasonal groundskeepers, and they are very anxious to get this fertilizer on the lawn. They are feeling like that the parks are not at 100%, and they take pride in their work and how the parks look, and they want the parks at 100%, and they would very much love it if they got their fertilizer.
Okay. All right. I would entertain questions. I'm not Gary. I don't know if I can answer them, but I'm happy to entertain any. No questions? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of fertilizer for parks and cemetery in the amount of $2,400.
I make the motion.
Have a motion by Councilmember Goldsmith. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Councilmember Matsuda. Councilmember Goldsmith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Wheeler?
Yes.
Councilmember Matsuda?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of selling of the surplus Rescue 3 fire truck on the public surplus auction site. This is another item from Gary and the fire department. He is telling us the new Rescue 3 truck is in service. We don't have a need for the old Rescue 3. He wants to sell it on the public surplus website. The council will need to make a motion to declare it as surplus and allow him to list it. We're free to set minimum bids on this. So, it's not like someone can bid $1,000 and just grab it and take it home. He also, if it doesn't sell, he said we can relist it at a different price. He thought that they should start at least at $15,000 and see what happens from there. So this is the new truck that we got from CIB grant/loan, and we're replacing this 25-year-old one and just trying to recoup a little bit towards that.
So I have two questions. As far as the value of the truck, is there like a Kelley Blue Book listing where it says what the value is?
He says in his note to me that he has a rep at the site that can actually assist in setting the proper price for it.
Perfect.
So he does say that in his note.
And then my second question is, once the truck is sold and the money comes into the city, does it go back to the fire department or?
Absolutely. Yep. It's strictly for fire department use. So.
All right. Perfect.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to declare Rescue 3 as surplus and allow the department to place it on the public surplus website for sale.
I still move.
I have a motion by Councilmember Matsuda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Councilmember Wheeler. Okay. Councilmember Goldsmith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Wheeler?
Yes.
Councilmember Matsuda?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Awesome. So that's for the agenda. We're ready to move on to reports, and I see Chief Gelati has joined us. Would you like to report on police activity, sir?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a lot to report right now. I just wanted to take a moment of your time if I could. I didn't have a chance to address the council at the appointment last month. So if that's okay, I'd like to take a few moments and tell you that I truly appreciate the appointment by the mayor and the support from the council as well. Unfortunately, a small portion of the council had some reservations about that appointment. And regarding that, I just hope with time and effort on both our parts, we maybe trust. In the big picture, we have to work together as a city government, and I truly look forward to working with all of you in the future. So, having said all that, upon moving in my office here, I did discover a couple items that former Chief Anderson had made and didn't have a chance to present, and so I'd like to take that opportunity. So basically a symbolic olive branch to Council Member Archuleta. I don't know if you can see it. This is a nice plaque commemorating and celebrating her 10 years of dedicated service to our department, because she is a good cop and still is a good cop. So I'd like to give that to her, and as well as her badge with her badge number at the time she left the department. So I'll just leave that with the city at City Hall, and she can get that at her leisure. That's basically all I have at this time.
Okay. Any questions for the chief?
I just wanted to say I've appreciated your posting on Facebook and sharing what you guys have been up to. I think it's great and it helps us to know what you're doing. And I've just really liked seeing that. So thank you for doing that.
No, thank you. It's everybody should know what we're up to, and hopefully it's very little. But thanks,
Okay.
Donna.
Okay. All right. So on to council member reports. I'm going to go ahead and go over Gary's report. For the electrical department, we had a 2-hour power outage on June 3rd in the Martin area that was caused by a raccoon. And as he eloquently states, the raccoon did not survive that. We had a windstorm event on June 5th that caused a 5-hour power outage, another 3-hour power outage on Locust Street because of the same windstorm. Later that afternoon, a wind burst blew over a tree on Fifth Ave and caused another 3-hour outage. So when we have these windstorms, we're just at risk with our power. The power outage that was scheduled for Monday, he had asked Rocky Mountain Power on May 17th to perform that action proactively. He informed, Rocky Mountain Power informed us on Friday. Hence, there wasn't much, notice in regards to that. But that's been on the agenda to replace some wind damaged cross arms and bad cross arms. So, he's working hard to give us as much notice as he can. The bucket truck is still problematic. It's blown some more hydraulic hoses. They continue to just kind of tape it up and make it keep working. For parks, that same windstorm actually ripped down a fence at the Walt Borla Field. He cleaned that up on the Saturday following to prevent further damage and then repaired it the following Monday. So even with limited staff, I think they're really making a big effort to take care of all of us. And then in the way of streets, they've paved numerous small patches around town. They have a couple of large ones remaining. And also note, they've closed the limb pile and they're slowly hauling that to Price. He said he couldn't keep up with as fast as people were filling it up. And he also felt like it wasn't just helper citizens taking advantage of it, that it was people from outlying areas using it. And he just wanted to close it down so they can kind of catch up and get it out of there. So that's his report. Council Member Goldsmith, why don't we go to you next?
All right. I talked with Kayla Hancock this afternoon on July 22nd. She's going to start with they're calling their group the Helper Rush Cheer. She is registered as a charity. She is working towards getting her 501c3. And I referred her actually to you and Kate Kilpatrick Miller as resources that know the process of the 501c3, that she could maybe get some information on the process so that she could save a little bit of money. Because I think she said that she was looking to contact a business lawyer to complete the 501c3. So, and hopefully at our next meeting, or at least sometime in the fall, I want to make sure that we get on the agenda. I want to change some of the pricing for the auditorium. And Kayla is planning on just being out in the parks until it's cold. She is limiting her classes to 20 kids in a group. They will social distance. I suggested that parents drop kids off and not be in closed groups while they're doing their cheer, but I'm not sure what the process is. So that was what's going on with her. And as far as like what's going on with the auditorium, we do need to do some price changing on the charitable, what we charge for charities. Because basically we go from $25 to $400. And so we just need to kind of make it a little more fair and make sure that Kevin gets paid for doing all the extra cleaning that he's going to have to be doing now with COVID and so forth. On Yard of the Month, we have the Carlson family and as the best yard of the month, and the Miller family as the most improved. And what so impressed us about Sharon Miller was she spent $50 redoing her yard, and she had scraps of metal and scraps of oak wood, and it looks stunning. You would never know that these were leftover bits and pieces. So good for them. So we are looking, and Jean Boyack and I, and we're keeping in touch with Chris Gelati. We're looking into the regulations for weeds and so forth. We are looking for a form and make sure that we do a fair process for people with bad yards. So what we're looking at is having a written notice as number one. And then two, we have a choice of fines, and the city cleans and bills or puts a lien on the property, or court action. And we are going through when each one should happen and so forth. And then the next thing is when planning and
Sorry.
zoning.
Can
Yeah?
I just address that?
Yeah.
So the state legislature just recently, as of July 1st, is changing ordinances, and I'll have to look it up exactly. I made some notes, but I don't know exactly. They changed ordinance violations can't be criminal anymore, and there's some definite restrictions that have changed on that. So we're gonna have to look closer at what can be done as far as ordinance enforcement. They want to keep them strictly civil, which could benefit the city more. You could still, instill fines, which would go directly to the city rather than the state, and then write grants for that money. So it could benefit, but just so you know, the legislature did change that. So
Okay, and what we did, Chris, just so we took our city code, and there was a Utah State Code reference, and we looked at that reference, and that's when we got the district court clean and bill and the fines, not so much the fines, and I wasn't even aware of the district court part. So we'll sit down, as you know, we'll keep in touch and make sure that we do that the right way. Okay. And then, yeah, absolutely. So, and then we also have, with the help from the Utah Humane Society, we have some possible new regulations for unattended dogs. So that is something that we're waiting for planning and zoning to be able to have a work meeting, not a Zoom meeting, but a real work meeting, so that they can work on that. And there's a woman named Rachel that I've been in contact with, that she's been good to follow up. Like, are you guys, do you need anything from me? So forth and that kind of thing. So another thing that I'm doing, just sort of rogue and on my own, is I'm looking into motorcycle safety classes. I heard from the Utah State Director, which it looks like the beginning classes are not going to be affordable in our current economy. We might be able to bring experienced rider classes, and Casey Hopes has been in on this with me as far as looking for a place to have it, because when we had it before, and I don't know, Chris, if you remember Officer Watkins from East Carbon, he used to teach the classes and then he passed away, but he taught them through CEU at the time. So we're still in the very beginning stages of looking on that. And with the Trails Committee, there's a new trail called the Buried Forest Concretions. It's, I think, 2-point-something miles south of the Sunnyside Junction. So they've got a kiosk out there. They're really working, and this is part of the Carbon Corridor thing. So that trail, Al and I have hiked that trail a couple times. It's awesome. If you haven't been out there and you're a hiker, it's a great place to go. Another thing that they're talking about, and it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen tomorrow, is they're planning on putting in a campground at Gordon Creek. I think like right where the railroad trestle is. There was talk about the railroad abandoning the rails and doing a rails to trails. The county is not excited about being in charge of that just because of cost. And then the third thing that they talked about at the trails meeting was Gentile Wash, which is right next to where the old waste station is. Because we have people, geologists coming from around the world to hike that wash because of its geologic uniqueness, they're looking to put in a small parking lot there. And at the same time, the DOT is also looking to move their salt shed down there. So other good news is we've opened the pool as of yesterday. The people, and kudos to the people that are working, all our community people that are working to have the pool open. We are, as of yesterday, 70% to our goal. And we had right around 100 people there yesterday. There's just under 100 people there average today. They're doing all things right that the health department is requiring, taking temperatures, the people in concessions wearing masks. Only one person handles the money. The other people take care of the food. They are masked, they are gloved, and so forth. We had a great first day. And then on dark skies, Lenore Caller reported she is extremely nervous about doing any dark skies activities with groups of people. And there's concern about, even though you clean the lenses on the telescopes in between people viewing, she is very nervous about that. So they're not doing any activities at this point in time. So we'll see what happens on down the line. As far as the cemetery goes, I received, and we will be looking at this in the fall, some golf cart bids that for ADA kinds of things. It was something that came to me through the VA, but there are some golf carts that are ADA. One even is, you could put a wheelchair in it. So we'll look at that and see if that is something that we want to pursue. And then as far as the Castlegate Park, it is weedy right now. We are looking at putting together a proposal, and we are looking to see if we can find some grants to take that, to work on that over the winter. And hopefully we're looking at a xeriscape or no water type of a park. So hopefully we'll be able to jazz that up. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Wheeler?
Okay, I don't have a whole lot. The library remains to be closed. There's been talk about opening some sort of First Friday activities, but we're going to have it closed this month too. I think we're just waiting on our county to go to the green. I've been working with Michelle on the pool and raising money, and just want to say thank you to everybody that's been incredible.
Michelle,
and-
mute. You're windy.
Oh.
Can you mute?
I can.
Thanks.
I was
Sorry.
going to say, before I mute, I was going to say Amanda has been awesome with the fundraising, with the ideas and everything else that she's doing. We would not be where we are without her.
Oh, thanks. It's a lot of us. There's a big group of people. But thank you to everybody. I'm super excited we got the pool open. I think the community is very happy about that. Other than that, we had a complaint about the website didn't have the correct hours for the museum since it's closed. That and the library. So that needed to be updated on the website. But other than that, there isn't anything. That's all.
And you got Tom Hat.
Yeah, I got
sent
your
you-
email on
okay.
that.
Okay.
Yep. Need to publish
Perfect.
It, so.
Okay. All right. Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, Councilmember Matsuda.
Yep, the only thing I was going to report on was the museum information on the website. We went ahead and got that taken care of. And then because there had been some folks that had visited and under the impression that our museum was open because we hadn't updated that, but we got that taken care of. And then I also coordinated with Tina with the Carbon Corridor, and she was updating their information to reflect the current status of the museum. And then Jason was recording, he was going to record a message for the museum answering machine, just stating that they were closed, just so that people who were planning their trips and stuff could plan accordingly and don't get here and then are disappointed. So
Sure. Makes sense.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay. Well, is there any other business or anything else? I know we're on a holiday weekend, so thank you to everyone for joining us. It's always tough when we get around close to holidays. So, with that said, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion by Councilmember Matsuda to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by Councilmember Wheeler. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned.